right, everyone. Okay, it looks like I'm not live, but looking here, I see that I am. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Sorry about that. I thought I was having some technical difficulties. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear my audio, if I sound good. Um, I'm getting some error messages here on where I am. So give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Sandy, you are an early bird winner. Good morning, Candia. Good morning, Michael, Stephanie. Thank you all for getting up. Okay, great. So you guys can hear me. That's great. So maybe maybe I am. Oh, you know what? I don't know which one I'm in. Uh-oh, I got two lives open. So I'm gonna try to see without bumping anybody off which one is up, because I don't see any comments from anybody. I see it here on my phone, but I don't know which. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick one because it looks like I have two systems going. So I'm gonna pick one and hopefully it's the right one. If I disconnect, I'm gonna get back on. So okay, good morning. All right, I'm back in here. Wonderful. Awesome. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for getting up, joining Rise and Reset. I do appreciate week after week you guys joining me. I know that today is September 1st, so all of you are probably readjusting to a new schedule where your kids are going back to school, or maybe they're doing cyber school. Thanks, Sandy. And I can see your comments now, so great. Maybe you guys are doing cyber school, maybe you're back to work. So this season gets a little busy all the way up until Christmas. It's like hustle and bustle, and so get prepared, get your vitamins up, and then join me for Rise and Reset so you can get your weekly dose of mental health education and inspiration. So all right, I'm here for it, guys. Good morning. All right, so let's see here. We are at week 3 of our 3-part series of narcissism. So we've been covering every avenue of our narcissist. So today we're going to be covering what it looks like and what the impact of having a narcissistic parent is. But before we get into that, I want to introduce myself. I'm Prunella Harris, licensed clinical social worker and founder of Restorative Family Services. We're a mental health group practice, and we cover the entire lifespan. We treat adults, children, adolescents, helping them on their journey of life. So today we are talking about boundaries. And it's always good to remember boundaries. Boundaries isn't like a mountaintop where once you have them, they're good. As you age, as you enter different relationships, as you evolve, your boundaries will also evolve. So I want to continue our discussion on boundaries. Now, Boundaries, we might not even know we have an issue with boundaries because we look at our parents and, that's the way they did it. So that's the way we're doing it with our children. Um, and so trauma can be generational. It can be passed down like a gift, a family gift. And poor boundaries can be passed down like a family gift. So today I want to illuminate what it looks like when the boundaries are off in that parent-child relationship. Sometimes we look at our children and they're not doing what we want them to do. And we're like upset. Well, I don't understand why they're not independent enough. I don't understand why they just can't think for themselves. And we don't look at what our role was in that. Was it that we had such a domineering personality? Was it that we didn't allow them to show up and make decisions? Was it that we took away their choice, said, do it because I said so? No real explanation. So then they become dependent on us. And so that is an example of what a parent-child boundary infarction looks like. And so when you think they get up and 18, they should just click on and be like, okay, it's time to handle your own life. I've been handling your life this long. Now it's time to send you off. And now you're going to ultimately know how to handle your life. So that's what I want to get into today. So you guys on for the ride? Give me a thumbs up if you are on for the ride. All right. I am going to just follow along. I want to make sure that I get everybody's comments, that I say hello. If you're in there, I got the whole team there. Okay, great. Bear with me, guys. I'm just getting up to speed. Okay, there we go. All right. So let's see. Anyone new join? Okay. All right. So what I want you guys to do, because again, we are in the business of growing people. So I want you to go ahead and share this out. Tag your friends. I want you guys to get this message out to as many people as possible. So go ahead, take a moment now and share this out. And while you're doing that, I am going to get some stuff on my screen. All right. So what is the impact of narcissistic parenting? Well, when individuals are uncaring or unempathetic, it can devalue or dismiss the thoughts, beliefs, feelings of their children, not really seeing them as a separate entity. So the child will then grow up unsure of themselves with a low self-esteem. They grow up unable to make decisions because they don't trust their own judgment, because they've always had someone else making those decisions for them. They grow up with anxiety and depression because they can't trust the world. They don't feel settled. They're unsure about their emotional state. They're unable to regulate themselves. So it can have lasting impact, and it can also impact their relationship with others, their interpersonal skills with others, because sometimes you have children who grow up in a narcissistic home who will then become narcissists themselves, or they become very shame-filled. And when you're riddled with shame, there are three responses to shame. There's the aggressive response where somebody might tap on an insecurity and you just explode because you don't like feeling that shame. That's one response to shame. The second response to shame would be hide. I don't want to see, I'm going to avoid it. I don't want anyone to know that I am flawed. I don't want them to see my flaws. And so you avoid people seeing that. And the other response to shame is just aloofness, just not feeling. Okay. So any one of those can be very difficult to manage in a relationship. So we want to, one, get to the source of the problem and then decide, hey, listen, I don't have to continue this cycle. Now that I know better, I can do better. So now that I'm educated, I can do better for my children. I can do better for myself and set healthier boundaries in doing that. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how we can do that. So for those of you who are just joining, I'm Prunella Harris, licensed clinical social worker and founder of Restorative Family Services, and you're tuning into Rise and Reset. We're talking about how narcissistic parenting style can impact a child. So what are the traits of a narcissistic parent? That's what we're going to get in today. Good morning, Alex Reyes. Good morning, Debbie Mancuso. Thanks for joining me. Good morning, Laretha. Thank you all for getting up early and joining. So share it out, get everyone on board, because we're learning about the traits of narcissistic parent and how it impacts a child. And so just a reminder, we talked about a narcissist parent feeling like the child, or thinking that the child is not a separate entity, but the child is an extension of themselves. All right, and so that, keep that in mind as we go through some of the traits. So one trait, or one common trait that you see happening in this dynamic, this parent-child dynamic, is that the parent tends to live through the child. So maybe the child is a gifted athlete or gifted academically. The narcissistic parent will tend to set higher expectations for the child, and not so that they develop this child to be all that they can be, because that's part of healthy parenting. You definitely want your child to excel, but the intention behind a narcissist setting high expectation is for their own selfish gain. It's so that people can adore them. Oh, you're such a great mom. You're such a great dad. You really work with them. And so they need their child to perform as a sense of a trophy, like a way for them to receive those accolades, not for the child. And so that's the difference. All right. Good morning, Famar. Thanks for watching. Good morning, Ashley. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting up early. I know it's busy time, so I do appreciate each of you for getting up and tuning in. So we're talking about narcissistic parenting and the impact that it has on the child. All right. And so there is a pull when the parent lives through the child. There is a push to excel. And when they don't perform, the parent is not very, again, narcissist parent aren't empathetic. So rather than consoling the child and helping them bounce back or get the boost of self-confidence they need to keep going, it's criticism. You made me look bad. You embarrassed me out there. These grades do not reflect the type of parent that I am. How is that making me feel? And so the child feels that the love from the parent is contingent on performance. Okay. All right, let's move on to the second trait. Second trait you might see in this parent-child dynamic is competition with the child. So it can go the other way. So now the first one was that they live through the child, but the other dynamic that you see, if you don't see that happening, is there is competition. So the child's gifts are seen as a threat to the narcissist parent. And, you know, some parents are threatened by their child's promise or success. Example of this type of competition would be marginalization, nitpicking, unreasonable judgment and criticisms, unfavorable comparisons. It is all intended to knock the confidence down of the child so that they don't feel that they're as great as they are. And so once that mental once they are taken down a notch mentally, the narcissistic parent can resume their status or their believed status of superiority. So it's really to get their child to not think that they're better than They want their child to feel that the narcissist parent is the best and that they're, not worthy. All right. And so some of this could be invalidation of positive attitudes and emotions. It could be rejection of success. It could be minimization of success and accomplishments. Oh, anybody could come in first place. Look who you were going up against. Or, that's not a big deal because I did that 10 times over. So just because you got straight A's this cycle doesn't mean anything. I've been having straight A's since, but that constant competition to really knock the child down and keep them at bay mentally so that they don't feel really good about themselves or they don't feel like they're separate from or better than. It's just to keep them mentally lower. Okay. All right. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Who do I have with me? Nisi Chen, good morning. Thanks for joining. Tamara, I see you and Sophia. Good morning, Sophia, are joining. Thank you guys for joining. We're talking about the impact of narcissistic parenting. And we are on number 3. Number 1 was that the narcissist will live through the child. Number 2 was they compete with the child. And number 3 is manipulation. So the narcissist wants control. And so if the child seems to reject that type of control, the narcissist feels uneasy with that. So they will do some of these manipulative tactics to regain control of them. And how do they do that? Well, they can regain control by guilt tripping them. Something like, I've done everything and you're so grateful. I've done everything for you. I don't know why you would treat me this way. And so the child feels guilty and they will capitulate to the demands of the narcissist parent. Another one could be blaming. It's your fault that I'm not happy. It's your fault that, you lost this game or your team lost. It's your fault that you and me and your dad are fighting. It's your fault. So just really blaming them. Or if I didn't have you, I wouldn't be in this situation is another one that I've heard. Shaming is another manipulative tactic where your poor performance is an embarrassment to this family. You should be ashamed of yourself. And really, again, these are emotional abusive tactics. Negative comparison. Why can't you be as good as your brother? Why can't you be as good as your sister? Why can't you be like that kid Tommy down the road? Why can't you be like the best kid on the football team? Why can't you, so constantly comparing them. Unreasonable pressure. Sometimes you see this with gifted athletes who are performing at a high level that, you have to perform, or there's someone's going to take your spot, or you're going to be benched, or just really putting a lot of pressure on the kids as a way to manipulate. Okay. All right. So I'm going to park it here. All right. So I got a couple more, but I know I'm covering some deep stuff early in the morning, but what questions do you have so far? Do you have any questions about any of this that I'm going through? Because I know I'm putting a lot of stuff on you today. All right. I see Bobby Purcell. Good morning. I see Reba Colbell. Good morning. Reba says that's to make the child dependent on the parent emotionally. Then the child is unable to take his own decision. Yes. Make his own decisions. Yes, Reba, you are absolutely right. And this happens subtly. It's, sometimes even this can happen out in public, but because it's so subtle, other people are not aware of it, that this is happening. And then all you see is the child, explosive reaction to this. And it's like, wow, that child might be, you know, really mean to their parents, or something like that. And that just, depending on what type of narcissistic parent you have, it could be narcissistic supply for that parent. See how bad they treat me? Yeah, they just never, they're not respectful. And then bystanders are like, oh yeah, I feel for you. And that's another form of supply. Not everyone in society is narcissistic. This is just to educate and illuminate an issue that has been like a subculture of our society. And a lot of this could be cultural. It could be just generational, like that. Well, you might have a narcissist parent who passes down poor boundaries all the way down. And it's never questioned because this is just the way this person is. This is just the way our family is. But when you know better, you do better. So you can decide to break those generational curses. You can decide to break that trauma. You can decide to do things differently. And so that's what we are here for. All right. All right. So I'm going to go. I see Dave Swinson is on. Rosen Caratana is watching. Good morning. Good morning. If you're just joining us, my name is Prunella Harris. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and founder of Restorative Family Services. So I'm educating everyone about the impact of narcissistic parenting. And so far, we have gone over 3 key traits. One was the narcissistic parent living through the child, which, the child's accomplishments are not for the child, but for the gain for the parent. So they hold them to high expectations for their own selfish gain. Number 2 is competing. They're threatened. Narcissistic parents might be threatened about by their child's gifted areas, and will try to bring them down a notch by being overly critical or using other toxic strategies. And then there's manipulation, where you're trying to regain control. Your child is trying to pull away, but you're trying to regain control. So you do a lot of mental and emotional abusive tactics, such as guilt tripping, blaming, shaming, are some of the ones that we covered. All right, so we're moving on to number 4. I have one more after number 4. Okay, so number 4, I must have did something. Okay, number 4 is lack of empathy. Now, our children want nothing more than to please their parents, and they're looking for that emotional connectedness. However, narcissists really struggle with empathy. They are unable to provide that empathy. Usually relationships with narcissists are one-sided. So they're not looking at their children as a independent being, but an extension of themselves. So their whole purpose for, the child is to please them. They don't see any other reason. Or they don't want to validate their emotions. They don't validate their feelings. When they talk, it's talking at the child, not really, what do you think? How do you feel about this? It's, I'm going to make a statement and that's it. Not really allowing them time to process. So when children are parented by a narcissist who lacks empathy, they feel empty, even if they're spending time, because narcissists can be distant individuals where they tend not to engage much with their children. And if they do engage, it's around activities that the narcissist want to do, not what the kid is into. So they feel, there's something like, even though I live in the same home with this parent, excuse me, even though I live in the same home with this parent, I just don't feel like I really know this parent. I don't feel like emotionally connected with this parent. So children under this type of parental influence will respond with three survival instincts. One, they might fight back and stand up for themselves. They may rebel. They may distance themselves. So when they are old enough, they may just move away and call maybe once every month or so. Or some may begin to freeze and substitute their invalidated real self with the false self, or behave in a way they're playing a role for the parent. So they want to get the attention, however sparse or scarce it is. So they play a role, and they conform to whatever it is the narcissistic parent wants them to be. When you have that lack of empathy, they grow up to be really people pleasers, because it's always been about pleasing that narcissistic parent. So they get into relationships where they're pleasing, whether it's friendships or romantic relationships, where their whole goal is to please and they don't require anything. And then they get burned out, and then they become more codependent, and they don't really know how to course correct because they haven't been shown what healthy boundaries look like. Okay. So, the last one is jealousy and possessiveness. So the narcissist parents, again, don't see their children as unique beings. So when their child wants to go out and do things, whether it's for themselves, whether it's a new partner, a new romantic partner, or friendships, the narcissistic parent might feel threatened by those relationships and may become more possessive over their child, or over the perceived person taking them away. And so this might be where you see, I know the common stereotype would be a mother-in-law who's very possessive over her son, with the new wife. And it's like, oh, you're trying to take my son away. But you can also see that in reverse. You could see that with couples who get very upset where their partner wants to do self-care, and just maybe have some me time, have some time away. They get very insecure, very upset if they try to pull away. So, this dynamic can play out in a number of ways. And, it's personalized. The narcissistic parent will personalize. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you treating me this way? Again, guilt tripping and all those manipulative tactics. So let's review. Let me see who has joined us. Nisi Chen says, I love this. Great. I'm glad you're finding this information helpful. Alicia is watching. Good morning, Alicia. Let's see. Michael says, everybody loves Raymond. Yes, with the mother-in-law who was very enmeshed and coming over and not knocking and cooking dinners. And yep. Alfreda Small is watching. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So let's see here. Let's just review really quick. 5 tactics was living through the child, competing with the child, manipulation, lack of empathy, jealousy, and possessiveness. So once you have identified these traits, what do you do? What do you do about this? Well, my number one recommendation would be to link up with a good therapist whose specialty includes boundary setting. because you're going to need a lot more support. Because if you're raised in this, and if you're still, if you're an adolescent and you're still in the home, there are, the parent still has a lot of parental authority. If you're an adult and you've moved out, things might be a little different, but because you have been reared in this way, you're going to need a lot more support and inventing boundaries and learning them and being consistent with them. I do recommend, if you're in Pennsylvania, joining our Boundary Busting Bootcamp. This is a 6-week workshop where we teach adult women just how to do that, just how to set healthy boundaries, how to look at what are those long-held shame-based beliefs, and then how we rework them, and how do we set boundaries. And we teach actual techniques and we practice them over the course of 6 weeks. So for more information on that, you can visit our website, www.restorativefamilyservices.com. Go ahead and click on the Boundary Busting Bootcamp. Thank you, Michael. Michael has also linked the landing page for you to gain more information about the Boundary Busting Bootcamp. If you're not in Pennsylvania and you're watching, go on to, Psychology Today and look at the profiles and see if there's a therapist who deals with boundaries or trauma, because usually after, what you find when there's poor boundaries, there's usually, if you dig down the line, there's usually some trauma there. So go ahead and do that. And I am back here every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m., Rise and Reset. Join me, and we'll be talking about different topics every week. All right. So I hope to see you all. Now, don't get off yet. We still have riddle time. All right. Crack your knuckles, crack your fingers. The winner of the riddle, whoever gets the answer first, wins a $5 Amazon gift card that will be emailed to you. So I know there's lots of tools, back to school supplies this can help with. So definitely go ahead, get your fingers ready. Here is the riddle. All right. Samuel was out for a walk when it started to rain. He did not have an umbrella and he wasn't wearing a hat. His clothes were soaked, yet not a single hair on his head got wet. How could this happen? First one to answer gets a $5 gift card. Sandy Lopez was our early bird special, so she will be getting a $5 Amazon gift card emailed to her after this broadcast. Who's going to be next? Who's next? Go. Y'all see the TikToks? Don't act like I'm the only one watching the TikToks. Okay. Yusuf Malik is watching. Good morning. Thanks for getting up early. So the riddle is, all right, Nisi Chin wins. The answer is, he had no hair on his head. So the answer is correct. Nisi is correct. Let me show you guys the answer. He was bald. Yes, that is correct. All right, Nisi, you win. I'm going to be reaching out to you to give you your $5 Amazon e-gift card. Thank you all for a very great morning. I hope that homeschool or school goes well this week for you guys, and I'll see you next Tuesday. All right, take care.